Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with a discussion about a mod, iCT's alternate starting positions, which came out earlier today. And what this mod does is what's in the title. It gives a lot of Legendary Lords alternate start positions. You install the mod, it's not on the Steam Workshop, it's on Nexus, but you put it in your data folder for the game, you enable it through the mod launcher, mod manager, and then once you start campaign, it will move the Legendary Lords around. And this can have very significant implications on campaigns. Generally speaking, it will be positive ones. So let's start from the left side of the map. Grombrindle's still there against Malekith, which honestly I always felt it was a bit of an awkward thing for Grombrindle to be there. I mean, Grombrindle's whole story in the lore is that he's there, that he shows up in a time of need to help other dwarves, so that's more of a mechanics problem than anything else. But his campaign objectives do require him to be Malekith, so moving him would be problematic. Now, here in this corner, the big change, really, is that Malus Darkblade now starts near Hag Reef. It would be nice if his Black Arc also started in Hag Reef, because it's still over here in Norska. But at least you do have him over here, and he's apparently at war with the ogres. Also, a nice thing about this, for Malekith, for the other Dark Elves actually, is that it means these territories will not be taken by minor factions, it will be taken by a major faction, and you can confederate said faction. That is very useful, because it's always annoying as Malekith to try and retake those elements. Alifanar has been moved to the Twisted Glade, so now he has a choice of either staying in Nagarond or hopping over to Nagarath to reclaim it, which is one of his objectives. And we now have Arbol over here in Karankar. That's going to ruin things a bit for Akarth and Lokir, but only a bit doesn't really matter that much. But he does start with a tier 2 Karankar. With a garrison building, so that's a bit worthless, but just get rid of the garrison building, make a cultist building, get access to all those wonderful things in that situation. Arbol is going to be ridiculously good in that situation. And it makes sense because Khorne did invade, really, Valkia did invade Nagrand in the end times. On top of that, Azazel and Sigvald have basically swapped positions, starting positions. Not quite entirely sure why you'd make that change. I've seen other mods as well swapping Sigvald for Azazel. Not entirely sure. Wulfric does start over here in the Trollfjord, though I'm not sure where he'd start when you're playing his campaign, so I haven't checked that out yet. Outside of that, this entire northern section has been basically like all Legendary Lords have been removed. Maybe the Demon Prince should have been left here behind, but alright. We now have Be'lakor in Boris's initial starting position, and he's at war with the Khorne faction. Because this is not just a thing about, oh, we changed start positions. No, it also changes the factions you're at war with. So, for instance, Boris Ursus over here starts at war with Prague. And all climates have been made suitable for every Legendary Lord. Thank fuck for that. That's great. That's good. That should have been done a long time ago. But moving further, Astrogoth is where he still was. If we look at Kislev, yeah, you have Boris Ursus starting with Volsra. Maybe you should have Prague as the initial settlement and then having this faction. But really, the way it's set up, you can take Prague itself, because you do start a war with them, and then focus on Front. You do certainly have the army for it. Then moving over here, we have Kolek in Sigvald's previous starting location. And we still have Village right next to him. With respect to some of the other things, Zaytan has been moved, and that's great because his starting position used to suck, and now he does start with the tier 2 settlement, but he doesn't have the drill, so he'll have to build up. A bit messy, but I will take starting with the tier 2 settlement, especially in this province. This province is amazing for Chaos Dwarves, by the way. This is one of the reasons you actually want to fight Grimoire as Chaos Dwarves, is because the province he has is amazing. But looking Cathay, not really any kind of changes except the following. So Jan Bo has been moved from Lustria over here. If you want to go in Lustria, you can do so later, but you no longer have that shitty dual start. The call is still there. Durfu has been moved over here. That's great. So it means Orion is the campaign that's going to be focusing on Athaloran as the Athaloran starting position if you want to do so. Looking at a couple of other things, we also have Draika over here in the Haunted Forest. Again, it's like, the problem is like a lot of these structures, like all the structures have been removed. Maybe that would be a next logical step there, but yeah. Epidemia still starts in the Dragon Isles. Okay, at least he's no longer dealing with fucking Gorse. He's dealing with Draika. I'm not sure if that's better or worse, because Draika is pretty damn scary, really. Some changes with Astrogoth. He starts with the Tower of Gorgoth, not the Black Fortress. Just a bit weird, really, with regards to that. He's also starting a war with Castors. I mean, he can obviously take back that settlement, and he no longer has Clan Rectus to deal with. Though that's a bit of a problem because Clan Rectus is his initial enemy. Looking over here, Azag is still in his same position. Astanki has been moved into Griffinwood. Yes, that is needed. That is useful. So all the Kislev Legionary Lords no longer have that shitty decision. Azak still starts where he is, Ungrim. But now you have Manfred over here in Tempelhof and Vlad. So that means the vampire counts are actually going to be a lot more dangerous. Vlad and Manfred teaming up. I mean, they hate each other, so kind of. Yeah, it's a weird relationship. Well, it's more of a case of Manfred being Manfred and Vlad being a pretty nice guy, but even he doesn't tolerate Manfred shit. You do have Gorbad over here in Skarsnik's initial starting position. Elspeth still where she is. Karl Franz. Gorst has been moved into the Brass Keep instead. I think like a Warriors of Chaos, like Azazel actually could have started there in the Brass Keep. Or maybe Sail the Faithless, who, by the way, Sail the Faithless, where is he? He is somewhere here. Oh, yeah, he's actually over here in Arbol's initial position as well. Okay, I know I'm going all over the place. Vesta starts in Albion, all right, but yeah. You do have free vampire counts factions right here, so that's going to be a much more interesting campaign for Empire, but a bit perhaps too samey, but certainly a different dynamic for Karl Franz. In Bretonia, the Red Duke has been moved near Lewin, so have fun dealing with that initial battle. Though, honestly, Lewin can probably win that. But now you have to deal with Silustra. Which, honestly, I think dealing with Vampire Coast is a far more fun enemy to deal with as Bretonia than Vampire Counts. At least Red Duke. Kamler is still there, Grom's still there, Fey Enchantress is still there, Orion is still there. But yeah, the dwarves over here no longer get wiped out. Moger has instead been moved into the vaults, and Scrag has been put in his place over there at war with Estalia. Could complicate things for Claw to some extent, but you can probably beat Scrag to Magritta. And really, it is a godsend as opposed to having dealing with the corruption. Sartosa is still where it is. And now, Tamarkan starts in Scrag's initial position, which is fucking amazing because Tamarkan, yeah, his objective is to deal with Null. I mean, mind you, one of his objectives, his short campaign victory condition, is to deal with Gremgor. So it doesn't quite match well with victory conditions necessarily, but I would say this is a much, much better starting position than what Tamarkan had to deal with. You now have Skarsnik starting in Black Crag. Yeah, kind of a bit weird. But at least he does have Karake Peaks. Though that could be a problem if you're playing as Skarsnik. You know, Karake Peaks and all that kind of stuff. You know, you have that giant army next to you. But very importantly, Belagar now starts in Ekrint. So he actually has a straight path to Karake Peaks. So the War of Karake Peaks is going to be far more interesting, far more dynamic. I understand why he put Skarsnik and Black Crag. It's to create that clash, right, between them. On top of that, Emmerich still starts where he is. Scarbrand, same thing. Katep, however, now starts in Casabar. So he's swapped place with Manfred. Makes sense. Katep was in the desert for most of his existence. He never left Nehekara, as far as I'm aware. Like, he was exiled from the cities of Khemri, but not from, you know, Nehekara itself. So outside of that, like, Rapun's still there, Arkhan is still there, all that stuff, Tic-Tac-Toe, Warzag. Nakai is no longer in Cathay, but he starts now in the Southlands. Makes perfect sense. He does start a war with the Skaven, okay, and you have him friends being neighbors with Kairos, who starts a war with the Minor Siege faction, though it might be encouraged to not kill them completely, but just, destroy their army, and then you can vassalize them. Demon Prince starts in the south. He's going to be an easy target for Oxyal. Then you have Tarks and Lustria. Okay, that's a bit of an interesting one, but hey, we'll go with it. Why not? Why not? Tenowin, same thing. Rakarth, same position. Scroll, same position. Actually, no, Rakarth has been moved north to the Bloodhole. Instead, you get Epidemius and Lustria, which, you know what? I'm going to say it makes a lot more fucking sense than Skulltaker starting right here, for instance. You have Kroq-Gar instead, so yeah, Kroq-Gar defending Lustria. Perfect sense, right? Marcus Wolfart. You do still have Skulltaker over here in Lustria, but this is a much better starting location than that fucking shit pile. Still, it's still Lustria. Mazdamundi right there. Mazdamundi right there. Morathi where she was. But then you have Tretch starting in the Red Desert. And yeah, then you have, of course, Ulthuan. Noctilus shouldn't have been moved, but I guess it is a choice like, okay, you can decide not to go for Ulthuan, which the game was heavily encouraging you. Instead, you have the Mask starting a war with Terranok, and Nakari still there. But you also have Teclis war with Safri. Someone's really pissed off at Safri's bullshit, rightly so. Slanshi corruption, what the hell have you guys done? So that event that Teclis has is no longer relevant. I guess you could abuse it for the sake of Confederation. So what are my feelings with regards to, having looked at the map? I think some things are really good. Some things are a bit weird, but I can't really complain. I think it does add a genuine amount of variety in a campaign, and I also think it vastly improves certain campaign situations. Like, look, if you're playing Boris Ursus, yes, it is great to just wallop Archeon very quickly in a campaign. Undeniably so, I'm not going to dispute that. But, same time, kind of just a bit of an awkward thing, right? To always have that as a starting situation that you're always dealing with if you're playing Kislev campaign. So having him start in Volksgrad, though I believe he should start with Prague personally, but having him start in Volksgrad is a much better situation, really benefits Belagar, Yanbo, and many, many others. So I think in general it is going to make campaign situations better, and even Legendary Lords that don't have shifted starting positions, like for instance, Malekith and Grumbrindle are both going to have far more interesting campaigns with Malice Darkblade being there, because he's going to pose a different, he's going to change the calculation that both of them are going to have to deal with in their respective campaigns in terms of a path, diplomacy, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I very much welcome the changes that iCT has made over here with the mod. I would have done a couple of things differently, but yeah, between the climate change and the shifted starting positions, I think this is something that can really improve the variety of your campaign experience in the Warhammer 3. Costin signing out.